Welcome to Jackfruit Radio. And Lynn just giggled in the background here. Today we're going to talk exchange rates and the importance of having a good exchange rate to maximize your time in the Philippines and not give away your money. We're also going to touch on why it's so important when it comes to your medical. Welcome back to Jackfruit Radio. This is one of the pictures of Lynn heading off to work. And there's Todd and Rosalinda. They're a very happy couple, very goofy. Lots of music in the background, right, Todd? And then the ladies. And even Jake is peeking in the back. Jake works on the weekends there. So the reason I'm showing you those pictures is Philippine restaurants. Great way to start networking. Find out who is sending money to the Philippines. There are home-based businesses through iRemit and Metro Remit, just to name a few, where you can send money to the Philippines. And many times they are much cheaper than the banks. Now in our case, we actually have a Metro Remit office in Vancouver. I believe there's actually two of them, one in Surrey and one in Vancouver. And you'll need one of those outlets to send big chunks of change. Now, when it comes to big money, maybe 2 or 3 years or maybe even 4 years of living, you want to find out what their exchange is, etc., and their fees, right? Then check with your bank, because the banks in some cases are better if you're sending large chunks of money. Okay, so there's your hint, hint, clue, clue. Start your networking and go from there. So what currencies am I going to quickly cover off today? I'm going to cover off the Canadian dollar, probably a little bit more detailed than the other ones. But the other ones also have some good ways of understanding how currency rates work and how they have definite patterns to them. So the main goal is, let's find out what your threshold is. So Canadian dollar, US dollar, euro, Great British pound, New Zealand, and Australia. So let's get to it. So here's what I do with the Canadian dollar. I look at the maximum I can push it out, which in this case with this chart is 10 years. And you can clearly see that there's a resistance line going up and there's a resistance line going down. And a lot of times it will tag that line and either bounce off and go down, or it'll break through and go up, and vice versa. So in our case, our threshold is 40. You can see clearly that 40 line on the 5-year chart has some clear bottoming in that yeah baby zone. But in that yeah baby zone, it went up nicely and it held for a period of time that allowed us to casually send a lot of money. Now, when I say casually, that's because we weren't going to be building a house. We just wanted living money. So during that yeah baby zone, we were able to send 3 years worth of living, which you can see it broke below that line shortly after that and hasn't recovered until more recently. On the 1-year chart, you can see that it broke nicely above the 40 mark, and again was solid enough in that range that we initially were sending chunks of money. Then we made the decision to buy, and we hopped on down to that large office where we were able to prove that we were not money laundering, and we were able to send up a large chunk of money to the Philippines. And more recently, we've had opportunity. Now on to the US dollar. So again, there's that 10-year mark with two breakthrough points, as it were. The US dollar is pretty smooth. It's not as easy to determine what is your threshold. But even on a 10-year chart, if you look at how this has manifested itself, it clearly had a top, broke to the bottom a little bit, bottom, and then broke through and went well above the threshold there, denoted by the red line. And of course, where we're at currently is that little green dot at the end. And there again, you can see that we're potentially having another breakthrough or topping out. And so if that green line is your threshold, then it's time to send money. So again, I broke it down a little bit further for the US dollar, looking at the 5-year chart. And this is, in my view, where the US citizens should be thinking, is 50 pesos. If you get into that yeah baby zone of 54, 50, whatever it was, 7 that on the bigger chart, 50 is kind of your thing. You can see that it clearly ripples around 50, 51, but currently it's above. So honestly, if you're thinking of coming to the Philippines for an extended period of time, you may be moving into your yeah baby zone, or it's just an opportunity time. Send maybe 2 or 3 years worth of money. Okay, similar with the euro, we've got these on the 10-year chart, 2 clearly defined, sort of right now, there's a bottoming out effect twice there. Going back 10 years, you can see that that is the same point as it is, say, about a year ago, and it's tried to touch it again. Now, will it break to the top side or will it break to the bottom? Who knows? But if I set my threshold for this one, then I'm maybe not in my yeah baby zone, but I'm sure in my opportunity zone. And depending on how much residual money you have here, if you're sitting at the edge of your money, then I'm sending a lot. Get through the next couple of years. If I'm still topped out after that yeah baby from a couple of years ago, then I'm just topping up a little bit. Great British Pound, my favorite currency back in the day when I was doing foreign exchange versus stock market. So on here, the green lines are representing all the various ripples that are happening around that threshold of 67. Red lines are showing that it also ripples around that spot and either breaks to the top or breaks to the bottom. If we move over to the 5-year chart, so if 67 is your threshold, then it may be the opportunity to start sending a lot of money. Again, you've got that yeah baby zone about 2 or 3 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, which hopefully you capitalized on, and you're either just topping up right now or you're getting ready to send more money. Do not always wait for the yeah baby zone. So the Australian, a little bit harder to work with on the Australian. It's like the US in many ways. It's a smoother chart. So to find your ripples there, it's not quite as easy. But on the 10-year chart, just near that number 37 that I wrote, you can see that it sort of came down and tested that 38 mark. And then as you follow the red line across, again, it's 37 or 38 that it's rippling around, and currently it's rippling around the 37, 38. Back a few months ago, you had opportunity there to possibly capitalize. And if you go to the 5-year chart, you can see that you, hopefully, if you pick 37, that you had a little bit of a yeah baby zone there, similar to Canada. It tops out at about 42. Canada tops out about 43, but that's only happened once in 10 years. Now it was for a while, but again, we're trying to look at long term to find the threshold mark. And then that way, you capitalize on the big ones, you stay away from the low, and you try and fit in where you can top up. Or is this your opportunity? Your medical fund, okay? Yes, if you're younger, you can get medical. You can go to some of the bigger hospitals and you can get a medical insurance. But as you get up in age, you know that that medical insurance is going to start getting crazy on you. Now, for those of us who live in the European Union, Australia, and Canada, your nest egg of money for your medical may simply be to go home where you've at least got medical. And but in either case, if you could demonstrate to the hospital that you have funds accessible to you, they're going to get you into the hospital. You may have to start on your Visa card, but you may have to finish with somebody transferring some money. Okay. Now, if you've got a local bank, etc., that's already got a good chunk of change in it, then you're going to be okay. And that's why you need to capitalize on these times. So sacrifices need to be made for the long-term benefit of your retirement in any foreign country. Okay? All right, so enjoy your day. Have a good one. Bye now.